Aloha and what's up, everyone? It's me, your host, Drew Manning of the Fit to Fat to Fit Experience podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in today. Today's episode is going to be with just me. It's going to be a solo episode. I don't do these very often. So hopefully, if you look at it from a different perspective, you could be in for a treat. Hopefully, you don't find it boring. But today, I'm going to be talking about 5 tips for a healthier summer. And I recently just did this for a webinar. I went over these 5 tips. And basically what they are is how to stay healthy on vacation, meal prep ideas and tips, workout tips, and these are things that I get into, very detailed conversations about. The next one is stress management tips. And then the last one, which you'll want to stick around for, is probably the sexiest one, meaning the one that most people want to know, because I've been in the health and fitness industry for years. And the sexy stuff is the stuff that is all about quick weight loss. So I'll be talking about a couple of tips and tricks. Like, let's say you're a week out from going to the beach. I have some things that have worked for me for like photo shoots and last minute tricks you can do to kind of lose a little bit of water weight, water retention, a little bit of body fat so you look a little bit leaner, so you can go out there a little bit more confident, which I totally understand. And so you'll want to stick around for that 5th one. But before we dive into it, this episode is brought to you by my friends over at Peluva. Peluva is founded by none other than Mark Sisson, who is the grandfather of the paleo movement. You know him from Primal Kitchen. He sold that company, very successful food and condiment company, and he's a good friend of mine. He's been on the podcast a couple times, I believe, and he recently started a company called Peluva. And Peluva is a new 0-drop minimalist shoe with the distinctive 5-toe design. Now, this is different. Minimalist shoes have been around for a while, and Mark created this design because it provides the most authentic barefoot style experience, which provides sufficient cushioning to use for all manner of everyday movement, whether it's fitness or athletic activities or just walking around the house. Peluvas are also incredibly stylish, so you get a barefoot shoe that looks great. It's nice to see the popularity of minimalist shoes today, but Peluvas are a step ahead of every other 0-drop wide box shoe because of the critical feature of the individual 5-toe articulation, which is a separate slot for each of your toes. So it's kind of like a glove for your feet, and each toe has its own slot that it goes into, and the socks as well that are provided by Peluva, same thing. And it's a totally different feel, and it gives you more of a natural, authentic feel. Like, I'm a big fan of wide toe box running shoes, and these are very unique feeling. I use them a lot for rucking, whether I'm walking or sometimes I'll do a ruck shuffle, which is kind of like a slow jog with the rucksack on. And these are perfect. I don't use them for my long distance runs, but I do use them around the house because I usually tend to wear socks. But I love the feel of the Peluvas with the 5 individual distinct toe boxes, which is very unique. It's a really cool feeling. You got to definitely give it a try. So basically, if you go to Peluva, peluva.com/Drew, you'll get 15% off your order. And all you have to do is go to Peluva, peluva.com, use the code Drew. You'll get 15% off your first order. They're designed to make you feel like you're walking barefoot on a putting green. They're super soft. They're super comfy. They do have some good style. They've definitely come up with some newer styles recently that I love. I tend to use the camo ones, but you'll love them. And I'm a big believer in Mark and whatever he puts out there. He knows what he's doing, and I highly, highly recommend these if you are looking for a new shoe to try out around the house. Walking, running, rucking, whatever you're doing, definitely give it a try. That's Peluva, peluva.com/Drew. This episode is also brought to you by Kion Aminos. If you go to getkion.com/fit to fat to fit, I believe you get 20% off your order. And I'm a huge fan of essential amino acids, EAAs. I don't use branched chain amino acids. Those are pretty much useless. But essential amino acids are the ones that your body actually needs. I highly recommend this for a pre-workout, an intro workout. The watermelon flavor is my favorite. And when it comes to amino acids, these are the ones that you want. And for everyone out there, like, if you eat enough protein, you should be good to go. But as you age and you're trying to maintain and hold on to as much muscle mass as you can, if you're over 40, 50s and 60s, you're going to atrophy. Your muscles are going to atrophy over time. That's just how life is. Being a human kind of sucks, but you want to hold on to as much muscle mass as you can. And I highly recommend supplementing with essential amino acids, even though I already eat a high protein diet. So if you're looking for essential amino acids, go to getkion, KION.com. Use the code fit to fat to fit, and I believe you get 20% off your order. So check them out as well. And with that being said, let's jump into the 5 tips for a healthier summer. Okay, so like I was saying earlier, I recently did a webinar workshop for some of my followers about this specific topic because it is summertime, and during summertime, especially as a parent, life can get kind of chaotic because you lose the structure, you lose having that the structure of your kids going to school and having that routine. Now that they don't have that, it can get kind of chaotic with staying in shape, and I totally get that. And a lot of people travel. So the first tip that I have is how to stay healthy on vacation. Now here's the thing. I've traveled all around the world, and I've done it trying to stay healthy. I've done it letting myself go completely and eating whatever I want. And I've done it more middle of the road where I'm like, okay, I don't want to gain weight. I probably won't lose a ton of weight, but as long as I come back, somewhere in that range of 0 gain and 0 loss, it's a win in my opinion. So the tips that I'm giving you today are, knowing that you're going to go into this vacation with maybe more of a middle of the road approach. If you want to go to one extreme and be 100% strict and 100% healthy, I respect that. I totally get that. I'm not telling you that's not the right path. I've done that before, and it comes at a cost of maybe not enjoying yourself as much. But to each their own, and that's definitely an option. If you are hardcore and you want to do that, then much respect to you. And I have clients that do that. They go into the vacation with that mindset, telling their partner and their families, hey, I'm going to be as strict as possible. I'm not going to be able to have dessert with you guys. I'm probably going to eat pretty boring food. And they go into it with that mindset and that mentality, and it's doable. Other people go into the mindset of like, you know what? I need a break. I'm going to totally let myself go and eat all the food and no restriction, no rules. And I respect that as well, because I think there's a time and place for that every once in a while. But for most people that are looking to not come back 10 pounds heavier, these are some tips that work for me and the rules that I come up with for my clients, so that it gives them a little bit of both, a little bit of freedom to enjoy yourself on vacation, but also not completely letting yourself go. So somewhere in the middle. So the first tip that I have is every single day, non-negotiable, you got to move your body. Whether you go to a gym and you work out, or you do your own form of exercise through walking, hiking, swimming, yoga, Pilates, CrossFit, rucking, hiking. Like I said, whatever you want to do, the rule is to move your body every single day, whether it's a walk on the beach or a walk around the cruise ship or whatever you're doing. Get in some type of movement every single day, non-negotiable. That should be pretty doable for no matter where you travel in the world. The next one, this one's a good one, is just allow yourself to have one cheat or treat meal per day. Like pick a meal for the next day and be like, you know what, dinner and dessert are going to be my treat meal. I'm going to eat whatever that night and not be restrictive. And then the other meals that I'm going to eat that day are kind of more in the gray area. So like, let's say you wanted to do dinner and dessert. So maybe for breakfast, you just have coffee, right? You just have, you don't really have breakfast, right? And that goes into the next one. But the next tip that I have for you. And then maybe lunch is like a Cobb salad, maybe lots of protein, a little bit of carbs, small amount of fat, and like that's your healthy-ish lunch, right? And then dinner, maybe you want to do pasta, maybe you want to do a pizza, whatever it is, and enjoy the local cuisine of wherever you're at in the world. I think that is totally doable, and I think that's a great strategy and great approach. Or maybe like one day you want to have like a buffet breakfast, and you want the French toast, and you want the waffles, and the pancakes, and the bacon, and the sausage, and the eggs. Awesome. Then like pick one meal out of the day for each day to be your cheat or treat meal, and then just don't go ham on overdoing it with 2,000 calories for that meal. Maybe it's still a cheat or treat meal, but you don't go overboard with stuffing your face that meal. Okay. And that tends to work for most people, where they get to enjoy their vacation. They get to enjoy some of the food with their family. And then the next strategy, the next tip is to do intermittent fasting, like skip a meal and reduce your calories, so that on that cheat or treat meal, maybe you can go a little bit overboard slightly and not feel guilty about it, because you're only eating 2 meals per day, and one of your meals was healthier meal, and the next meal is your treat meal, right? So those are 3 tips that I've found that have worked for me and my clients when they go on vacation, and it allows them that flexibility and freedom to eat the foods of wherever they're traveling in the world. So that's the first tip for this, how to stay healthy over the summer. The second one is meal prep tips. Like when you're not on vacation, you're at home, meal prep is key no matter what season is, summer, winter, spring, fall, it doesn't matter. You need to learn how to meal prep. And some of the stuff for me as a busy parent, as an entrepreneur, I don't have all the time in the world to meal prep the fanciest, healthiest meals all the time. I really honestly don't. I used to back in the day. I used to be very adamant about grass fed, grass finished, free range, pasture raised, organic, all the things that you can think of. And there's a lot of pressure and that comes at a cost. It can be very expensive. And sometimes for me, I just don't have time to cook. I don't have time to like meal prep every single day. So what I tend to do is use a lot of crockpot recipes, and I'll throw boring food like chicken or turkey or fish or whatever it is in the crock pot with seasoning and whatever I want to throw on it, and let it season overnight or let it cook overnight. And it's something that I can repurpose over the course of the next 4 days, because I just honestly, with like where I'm at in my life, I don't have time to cook a new meal every single night, and meal prep saves me on that. And I think a lot of busy entrepreneurs and parents out there understand that. And I know for your kids, you might have to cook something new every single day because maybe they're not into like meal prepping, and that's okay. But what I do is I meal prep my food and then I repurpose that food, whether I add that meat onto a salad or onto a wrap or an omelet or whatever it is. I can reheat that food and reuse it in different, capacities. And that's kind of something that I do. And then also, this is something I used to knock on back in the day, but canned veggies and fruits. When you're in a pinch, you're in a bind, and you tend to buy fresh produce, which I will always favor fresh produce, but studies show canned vegetables and frozen vegetables are just as nutritious. And that's what the science says. And so if you can save time by just opening a can and eating out of the can, I do that all the time, you guys. It's not sexy. It's not pretty. I definitely wouldn't do that like if I took someone out on a date, but for me when I'm by myself, it's just so easy to get that nutrition in. And yeah, I used to knock it, but to be honest with you, it kind of saves me so much time to have just canned vegetables ready to go and just like whip them out and be able to have something quick and easy. So canned frozen veggies and fruits, that tends to be the way to go. And then what I do with meal prep is I usually pick 3 or 4 entrees that I rotate through. So 3 or 4 entrees that I know are going to taste good, that I know are like okay with eating for the next few days, and then I rotate through those 3 to 4 or 5 recipes, and that way I have a little bit of variety in my life, and it's not super boring. But I think at the end of the day, you guys, is if you could train your brain to be okay with boring food, I think we've been programmed in our modern society with so many options that eating the same food for multiple days in a row is too uncomfortable, right? We're so uncomfortable. It's like too much. It's like we need for some reason to have something new every single day. And I think that's just, we live in a world of privilege and we get too comfortable sometimes. So if you could train your brain to be comfortable with more boring food, you can stick to any diet. You'll see results so much easier. But I get not everyone's there, and that's okay. I'm just saying maybe it's something to work towards, that if you want more simplicity in your life and less decision fatigue, then and you struggle with just ordering out, like getting pizza or DoorDash because it's easier, this is the way to go. And it can save you time, save you money, and it keeps you more consistent. I'm not gonna lie. So those are my meal prep tips. Let's get into workout. Now, working out is very important. We all know that, but it's a smaller piece of the puzzle than you might think. It's actually not that big of a piece of the puzzle when it comes to, you know, building muscle and losing fat. Like, yes, it's very important, but it's not the end all be all. Now, with that being said, here's some strategies that have worked for me over the years. Now, during Fit to Fat to Fit 1.0 in 2011 and Fit to Fat to Fit 2.0, I pretty much used the same structure of workouts, and it worked both times. And that structure is the following: it's 5 days per week. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday are resistance training days. And the way I do my resistance training is through supersets. So Monday would be legs and shoulders. Wednesday would be back and chest. And then Friday would be biceps and triceps. Now, the reason I split it that way is because when you do supersets, that means you go from one exercise, no break, no rest, straight into the other exercise. And so those two exercises need to be different muscle groups. So like if I was doing legs, I wouldn't do squats and then go straight into lunges because my legs would be pretty burnt out from the squats. and then I'd be super fatigued going into the lunges. So what I do instead is I'll do legs and then work a completely different body part, like my shoulders, with no break, no rest, and that way the muscles aren't fatigued. They're different, two different, body parts. So I'll do a set of squats and then a set of military press. And I'll do some leg press and then I'll do some, side raises. I'll do some lunges and I'll do some upright rows, whatever it is. And that way I have the ability to do the supersets, which is very effective when it comes to burning fat and maintaining muscle, maybe even building muscle for some people, depending on how heavy you go. That allows you to get the benefits of both cardio, which elevates your heart rate, right? And resistance training, which helps to build or maintain lean muscle mass. And that's why I like it, because the workouts tend to be shorter. You're not just dilly-dallying in between sets and talking and texting people. You're just like focused. You go from one movement to the next and then back and forth, until you're done with all those sets. You move on to the next superset. And that's like, that's how you do it Monday. And then Wednesday would be chest and back. So you do bench press and pull-ups, and then incline press and bent over rows, blah, blah, blah. Same kind of routine, same kind of concept, just different exercises. Friday, same thing, biceps, triceps, alternating back and forth, no rest in between. And it works really well, and it works for a lot of people. So if you're looking for a new structure to your workout, that's the way to do it. And then Tuesdays, Thursdays are cardio days. Now, the way I do my cardios, especially during Fit to Fat to Fit, if you're on a weight loss journey, you're looking to burn fat, the way I do cardio is one day is the zone 2 cardio day. So that's very long, slow distance. Like, think of like a pace that you can maintain where you can easily have a conversation with someone, where it's a slower jog. Your heart rate is elevated, maybe in the 120 to 130 beats per minute range, where hopefully you can still hold a conversation with someone, meaning it's on the lower end. It's not like maxing out. It's not like where you're breathing super heavy. That's probably like zone 4, zone 5. But zone 2 is where you want to be at for like 30 to 45 minutes. And then the next day, like Thursday, for example, your cardio would be, what I like to do is high intensity interval training cardio. So like 30 seconds on of a sprint, 30 seconds off, right? Just relax, or walking, right? To recover. And then repeat that cycle for 30 minutes, 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. And those 30 seconds, you're really going all out. You're going as fast as you can for 30 seconds. You're getting your heart rate up, elevated to its maximum level, if that makes sense. And that works really, really well. So that's kind of something that I've done in the past. And, Monday, Wednesday, Friday are those resistance training days, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and none of the workouts are longer than 45 minutes to an hour max. It all should take less than that. And Saturday and Sunday are active recovery days. Walking, hiking, swimming, playing with my kids, stretching, yoga, whatever it is. And I followed that format. I didn't work out twice a day, 5 times a day for hours long. It was mostly nutrition, but these are some of my workout tips that work really, really well. The other thing that I will say that could be beneficial are rucking. It is rucking. Rucking is basically walking with a weighted backpack on your back, whether it's a professional rucksack that you can buy from like goruck.com. I love their stuff, very high quality, where you have a weighted plate in there that fits perfectly into the backpack, and there's padding and it's comfortable to carry, versus if you just have a backpack, you could put a dumbbell or a kettlebell or water bottles or books or kids in there, and whatever you put on your back. And it's basically walking with a weighted backpack on, which can burn up to 4 times more calories than just walking alone. And it's actually safer on your joints than running is. And it gets you out in nature, which we all know the benefits for our mental health of being out in nature. So highly, highly recommend rucking as well. And the other thing that a lot of people, I would say, would be beneficial in investing in is bands, like having cheap fitness bands around the house, you take with you to the gym. You can work any muscle group out: shoulders, chest, biceps, triceps, core, back, legs. You can use bands for almost anything. And the last thing that I'll throw in there, which is kind of new, is what's called blood flow restriction training. And that's where you put these blood flow restriction cuffs on. You can buy from Amazon, super cheap. And it restricts the blood flow to certain muscle groups. So like, let's say you want to work on your biceps, right? You put the cuff here above your bicep, between your bicep and your deltoid, and you pull it tight, right? So it restricts the blood flow. What you'll notice is your veins will start popping out because it traps the blood in your arm. And studies have shown that with blood flow restriction training, you can actually build muscle with super light weight. So this is a great strategy for people as they get older that don't want to lift heavy weights all the time. Try looking into blood flow restriction training, where you could just use 5 or 10 pound dumbbells. And when you squeeze with that blood flow restriction, you feel this insane pump. You feel like your veins are going to explode, your muscles are going to explode, right? Because you're restricting the blood flow to the area, and that can help actually grow muscle. So this is something that I recommend for older clients that maybe have had joint problems from lifting super heavy weights in the past, and they don't want to lift heavy anymore. It's a great tool to have in your tool belt. So those are my workout tips, and you guys can always reach out to me and let me know if you have questions about this. But these are kind of good tips, or you can take notes while you're listening to this. The next one is stress management tips. Now, stress management is something that's so overlooked in the fitness industry. No one really talks about it. People will talk about diet and calories and macros and supplements all day long. But when it comes to stress management, this is what most people struggle with, because we're a stressed out society. We live in a state of constant fight or flight, whether it's traffic or bills or financial issues or relationship issues. The stresses of life get to us in this modern world. And I believe people's ability to do the hard physical work is determined by their mental and emotional states. So if you have suffered a lot of trauma in your past, and you have PTSD, and you have emotional eating issues, and you self-sabotage through food, or you have food addictive behaviors, it's really hard to break those cycles. Even if I give you the best meal plan, the best workout, the best supplement protocol, and none of that matters if you can't figure out your own patterns and why you struggle with the things you struggle with. And this is why stress management is so valuable in the fitness journey for people, but it's something that no one gives people tools on. It's just like, hey, here's your macros, here's your calories, just do it, figure it out. And that's great for robots, but humans are emotional creatures, and we tend to let our emotions get the best of us. And sometimes in the heat of the moment, when we're stressed out and overwhelmed with work and life and kids and finances, and then on top of that, we're trying to eat healthy and stick with our macros, and there's no food prepared, it's so much more convenient and comfortable to order comfort food like pizza, wings, fries, ice cream, the stuff that makes us feel good internally, because it soothes those difficult emotions of life, the stressed out emotions of life, the overwhelm. And people get stuck there. People do that time and time again. They know it's always an option, because you're a grown adult living in a free society where you have all the choices in the world to choose whatever food you want in the moment. No one's going to stop you. And this is why learning to regulate your nervous system, so that the next time you're triggered, that you want to just react with the food or the drugs or the alcohol, whatever it is, the addictive behavior that you're trying to break. Stress management tips like breathwork, journaling, therapy, a life coach, gratitude practice, positive affirmations, meditation, these things that have nothing to do with getting a six pack actually have everything to do with getting a six pack. Because if you can make choices from a conscious, secure place of a regulated nervous system, when you are your best self, let's say like on a day you slept amazing, your stress is very low, your cortisol is low, you're not reactive in the least, you're more patient with your kids, you're more like in love with yourself, you're more in love with your life. From that place, it's so much easier to make a decision of like, yeah, I'm going to eat the chicken and broccoli today because I feel good. I want to treat myself good. It feels good. It feels like kindness to give my body real healthy nutrition, real food. And I want to keep continuing to feel this way. And when you can make decisions from that versus survival mode, which is a lot of parents, a lot of busy entrepreneurs, a lot of overwhelmed people in our society, you're going to most likely make better decisions when it comes to health and fitness. You just are. And that's why I teach people breath work. That's why I teach them about the importance of regulating their own nervous system through breath work. And that's why I'm a huge proponent of including something like breath work into a fitness routine, because it helps you make better decisions for you, for your future self, instead of just being reactive in the moment and just being overwhelmed and not making the best decisions. And then later guilting yourself and shaming yourself for making that bad decision and beating yourself up, and then going and punishing yourself through, restrictive dieting and exercise as a punishment instead of an act of self-love. That's the difference. That's why stress management matters. And this is why it's so important to have these. So once again, the things that have worked for me: breathwork, journaling, therapy, life coach, getting out in nature, meditation, positive affirmations, a gratitude list, connection with friends and family and loved ones, not being isolated all the time, being alone with your thoughts, traveling by yourself helps you to, I think, regulate your nervous system, see yourself as the observer of your thoughts rather than you becoming your thoughts. Stuff that seems woo-woo that no one really talks about in the fitness industry, this is the type of stuff that matters. This is why conscious fitness is so important to me. This is why I do my conscious fitness retreats, to teach people these tools and techniques so that when they go back into the world of regular life, they have tools to help regulate their nervous system so they can start making decisions for themselves from a place of self-love and self-awareness and being present in the moment instead of a place of reactivity and survival mode. So, huge one, very overlooked in the fitness industry. Okay, the last one. This is the one that I promised you guys about, and this is something that's kind of controversial, but it's not the healthiest thing, but it is something that people always want to know, and this is something that works really, really well for me. So, like, let's say I'm a week out from going to the beach and I want to look in the best shape as I can. Now, if you have like 30, 40, 50 pounds to lose, this is not going to do anything for you, like a whole lot, other than make you maybe feel less bloated, a little bit of a flatter tummy, less water retention, less inflammation. So you go out there and you feel leaner, you feel smaller, right? And so this is what I tend to do about 5 to 7 days out from, like, maybe it's a photo shoot or a cruise or taking your shirt off at the beach. It's not the sexiest thing. It's not fun, but it works. So basically what you do is you cut out all fat and all carbs and you eat just purely protein. So we're talking about boring protein sources like chicken breasts, ground turkey, 99% fat free, tuna, and egg whites and protein powders that have low fat and low carbs. And like I said, super boring food. You eat that food, you cut out sodium as well. You still drink water, but you're going to retain less water with the lack of sodium. And then and carbohydrates. And so you might look a little bit flat. And so this is why a couple hours before it's showtime or go time, where you take your shirt off or at the beach, what you're going to do is you're going to carb up and you're going to eat a large amount of carbohydrates. I would recommend from healthy sources like fruits, potatoes, sweet potatoes, maybe even some white rice, and add some salt back into your diet and water. What that does is it fills your muscles up. So now you look fuller, you look more vascular, so that when you go out there, you look and feel pretty confident. Like I said, this is more of a mindset trick, but it does, make a difference in the short term. It's not sustainable because you're like, if you already eat 300 grams of protein, right? Let's say you were able to magically get that in, which, by the way, if you want to give that a try, good luck. It's really, really hard to get 300 grams of protein. Guess how many calories that is? That's only 1,200 calories, you guys. But to eat 300 grams of protein is hard work. It might be easier just to make a chicken breast smoothie with that amount of protein. But like, I'm not saying you need to get in 300 grams of protein, but what I'm saying is it's going to be lower calorie. So you're probably going to feel a little bit satiated from the amount of protein that you eat because you're only eating protein, like I said, in the form of chicken breast, tuna, turkey, like fat-free turkey, egg whites, and protein powder, maybe bone broth, something with zero fat and zero carbs in it. And you're going to eat those boring, bland foods for about 5 to 7 days. And then, take out the salt and then add the salt and the carbs right before you want to go shirtless. And that's a little trick that I teach people, something I do for myself every once in a while. This is not something that Drew recommends all the time. I want to make sure you guys understand that. I'm not saying go and do this. It comes with risks. It comes with a cost of like not feeling your best mentally, probably because you're lower calorie, you're in a deficit, you're eating boring food, right? Which, it's not the sexiest thing. But if you're looking for that quick fat loss and you're like, you want to give it a try, that's something that is up to you. And like I said, it tends to work really well for me if I have to do that. But like I said, maybe once a year I'll do something extreme like that. But anyways, that's pretty much it, you guys. Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. Don't forget to go check out Peluva, peluva.com/Drew for 20% off or 15% off. And then get Kion.com for some essential amino acids. use the code Fit to Fat to Fit for that one. Appreciate you guys tuning in to the Fit to Fat to Fit Experience podcast. If you like this episode and want to hear more from me, please reach out to me on social media at Fit to Fat to Fit. Let me know what you want me to talk about. I enjoy talking about this stuff from time to time. I'm more into the conscious fitness approach where I can talk about these things but tie it into more of a conscious fitness approach. But things like diet, exercise, supplements, these types of things, meal prep, workout tips, do matter, and they are important. I understand that, and I don't talk about these very often because I see life as more than just losing weight and getting this fit body. But anyways, that's who I am, and I appreciate you guys respecting that and letting me be me. But I appreciate you all tuning in. We'll see you guys next week. Much love and aloha, and I'll talk to you soon.